It begins with silence, a road, a column of trucks. Then, one sudden flash, a strike so exact it erases not just vehicles but an entire timetable of war. And yet, before the smoke clears, the real game starts. Somewhere, a radar blinks. A drone lingers. A crew whispers coordinates, desperate to find the hidden launcher. But it's already gone. Moved. Hunting again. What follows is a deadly cycle. Detect, fire, vanish. Played over bridges, depots, and convoys. Each side chasing shadows, each side daring the other to be too slow. Keep watching. The truth behind this duel will shock you. They were just trucks on a road, until one precision strike turned a supply line into a firestorm. Boxes that were supposed to feed the offensive scattered like shrapnel. Plans paused. Radios went quiet. A single launch had just rearranged a front line. And somewhere behind the smoke, a radar blinked, a drone circled, and a crew searched for the launcher they swore they would find. In the next minutes, you'll see how a precision rocket system can unspool a logistics chain, how reconnaissance ties cameras to coordinates and coordinates to impact, and how counter-hunters set traps for the very tool that is disrupting them. You'll watch a duel, radar against radar, drone feeds against camouflage, play out over batteries, depots, bridges, and moving trucks. And you'll see why one side keeps emphasizing accuracy while the other leans on volume. To understand the rhythm of this fight, start with the basics. Find, fix, fire, move. That cycle decides whether a launcher survives the hour or becomes a crater someone else has to drive around. Columns roll with shells for tanks and heavy guns, headed toward a sector where planners need momentum. Then, a precision launch cuts through the timetable. Explosions ripple along flakbeds. Officers mark delays they didn't budget for. The push in Donbass, measured in fuel, fuses, and timing, takes a breath it can't afford. A single, high-accuracy strike has done its job. Create friction. Counter orders follow fast. Locate the launcher and destroy it. A reconnaissance unit pushes forward, sets up a mobile tracking point, raises antennas, spins up a small drone. Operators stitch radar returns with video. They want a moving signature, a thermal bloom, a launch plume, anything that turns a grid square into an answer. Hours pass. Finally, a target pops on the net. A missile battery shifts, angles its rails, and prepares a return shot. But the window closes quickly. The same precision system that hit the convoy has moved on, hunting again. This time for two guns that have been pinning down an assault route. On both sides, crews breathe in the same tense cadence. Countdown, launch, impact, relocate. The duel spreads. Air defense radars scan for shapes they were built to kill. A high-value system locks a sector and keeps reconnaissance aircraft honest. Tasking shifts. Clear the sky for friendly flyers. The first rocket shatters a radar face. The second steps down the engagement chain and breaks the launcher itself. With the interception threat degraded, strike aircraft ride corridors that were closed an hour ago and cut a weapons depot off the map. Coordination is the trick. Reconnaissance finds. Air support pins. The precision battery finishes the work. Then, as another target lights up, a multiple rocket launcher dumping its entire load to stall a counterattack. The crew follows the same doctrine. 2 shots, 2 impacts, no time wasted. The ground team pushes. The launcher returns to cover, reloads, and plans the next mission. But nothing is invisible forever. Intelligence tracks movements, notes camouflaged hides, and relays coordinates up the chain. A long-range missile leaves a distant pad. 20 minutes later, a warhead comes down where a launcher had been resting. The footage shows a crater, the burn pattern, the claim. One precision system hit by another. The lesson isn't subtle. Stay ahead, keep moving. Never assume distance equals safety. Even so, the book on net effect is complicated. The same launcher that takes a hit has already forced costly detours, broken depots, and blown bridges. The tally isn't measured in a single strike. It's measured in all the strikes that came before. Since these systems entered the fight, command nodes, ammunition parks, rail spurs, and crossings have taken consistent damage. Supply chains bend, schedules slip. That's why generals on the receiving end keep tasking units to find and eliminate every launcher they can. That's also why decoys have become part of the battlefield. Cheap, hot, convincing silhouettes that drink expensive missiles for breakfast. Meanwhile, the counter-battery loop keeps turning. A self-propelled gun pounds trenches, then rolls to a tree line to wait. Recon watches the tracks in the dirt on a drone feed and hands coordinates to a precision team. Minutes later, a fireball ends what the artillery started. Cost and effect meet in the same frame. The impact is cheap. The loss is not. Another day, another feed. A specialist air defense unit swats a reconnaissance drone out of the sky. But the footage the drone sent before it died marked the ground. Freshly churned earth, a distinctive footprint. The precision team connects the dots. The strike lands beside the launcher. Fragments find ammunition. Flame does the rest. A capability worth millions goes dark with its trained crew beside it. Mobility is supposed to save the next target. A popular multiple launch system fires and disappears into foliage. The drone lingers. The team updates the grid. The follow-up lands with insultingly exact aim. The wreckage smokes under the canopy. On another axis, a heavy caliber system flattens a block where an advance is stalled. As it pauses to reload, reconnaissance makes the call, and the precision battery ends that chapter in 2 flashes. Airspace control becomes its own storyline. A sector controller slams the door on helicopters and frontline aviation. Drones fall. Scouts go blind. Then a pair of rockets slip through. A defender catches one and loses the second. The system that blinded so many eyes is blinded in turn. Within a day, with its cover gone, it tries to hide in trees and is found again. The second strike erases it. So what stands against a precision rocket battery? Legacy rockets in mass, fast, loud, and devastating to soft targets, can flood an area. But they trade accuracy for volume. A Grad can empty 40 tubes in seconds and saturate a grid out to 10 miles. It's brutal up close. It is not surgical. And Smerch pushes heavier rockets far deeper and hits harder, but it's still a wide brush by design. You see the story in crater fields. Circles everywhere, few direct kills. A thermobaric system adds horror to the equation. Its munitions burn oxygen and hurl a shockwave that ruins lungs. Survival inside the envelope is unlikely. But the same system shows the limit of indiscriminate force. Terrifying, yes, yet built to erase areas, not to pick a single radar off a hill. It fires, it flees, and if counter-reconnaissance marks it first, it becomes a fireball large enough to rattle the camera. On the other side, a precision battery carries 6 guided rockets that can put steel on a specific coordinate out to tactically significant ranges. Swap the load, and it can carry a single long-reach missile for targets far beyond the front line. Some counters exist. Operational tactical missiles with big warheads and long legs. But they're designed to launch from deep in the rear. They are not nimble hunters. They are hammers swung from afar, and they move too slowly to play the cat-and-mouse game up front. That's why deception matters. A plywood silhouette with a heat source can drink a weapon worth 100 times its cost. It's an ugly algebra, but it works. The trick fails when crews forget the basics. One battery, left bare against a skyline under the argument that nothing enemy-owned could reach that far, paid for the oversight when a long-range missile's cluster warhead burst overhead. Ammunition cooked off. The vehicle tore apart. The crew didn't walk away. Rules exist for reasons that are written in loss. If you're counting lessons, count these. Mobility isn't a suggestion, it's survival. Camouflage isn't an art project, it's life support. Reconnaissance is never done. When you stop looking, the other side finds you first. Mass fire can punch a hole and scare a brigade, but precision keeps removing exactly the pieces that hold a plan together. Bridges, ammo parks, radars, key guns. The fastest way to make a map lie is to break the symbols that give it meaning. You also count coordination. The best runs aren't solo. Drones pull angles that radar can't. Spotters share locations. Pilots fly when a corridor is pried open. Crews in trucks and on launch rails wait for 3 simple words that change everything. Fire for effect. When it works, the sequence feels inevitable. Detect, decide, deliver, disappear. The counter sequence is relentless too. Find the signature, align the shot, launch from far enough that you can't be hit back, then pray your information is newer than your target's last move. Sometimes the footage is a plume in a field and the claim of a kill. Sometimes it's an empty pad and a lesson in how fast a well-drilled crew can leave. In either case, both sides learn, both sides adapt, and the next day, the duel starts again. There's one more thing precision does that you can't map with craters. It preserves ground. When a battery deletes a specific radar or a single bridge span, it doesn't turn a whole district into rubble to do it. That matters. To civilians living behind the lines, to engineers rebuilding, to anyone who cares what the landscape looks like when the fighting moves on. Accuracy is a military advantage. It's also a moral one. In the end, no system is invulnerable. A launcher that spends too long in one place turns itself into a target. An operator who underestimates the other side's reach invites a missile he won't see until it's too late. But the machine that keeps breaking supply chains and command posts earns its reputation because it makes every enemy movement more expensive. It converts time into pressure. It forces choices. And it does it with a handful of rockets instead of a field full of tubes. So the duel continues. Decoys glow, real launchers move, recon teams stack angles, air defense radars blink awake, then go dark. Bridges crack, trucks burn. Someone on the radio says, "Shift grids," and someone in a cab hears, "Away, away," and mashes a pedal. Minutes later, another map gets updated. Another supply plan redraws itself, and another commander recalculates how much ammo will be at the front by dawn. If you value straight, sourced breakdowns of how precision, reconnaissance, and timing rewrite a battle in real time, stay with us. We keep rhetoric low and details tight. Subscribe, leave a comment with what you want dissected next, and we'll line up the maps, the sensor footage, and the doctrine to show you how it fits together on the ground.